All right, guys, welcome back to the Brush Off the Dust series. I played another game. I didn't record it because I just forgot I was doing this series, but we're going to review it now. I'm going to include all the games that I play to take you along the full journey. At least that's my plan currently. So let's get started. So my opponent is around 1500 as well, close to 1600. And he plays, I guess, like a perk modern setup. My standard go-to, if they give me the whole center, is I'm going to do these three pawns and the knight. I'm not going to do like all four. It starts to be too open, too hard to secure. But these three are usually sufficient, or like usually okay, where you don't end up like weakening your position. Here I took... the computer says actually that E5 is a better move. And in retrospect, like looking at some of the lines in this game, I think it was. So we're going to look at, there's some crazy stuff that almost happens or is like sort of in the background of this game. And we'll see why E5 is probably a better move than taking here. But taking is a fairly normal move as well in these types of positions. The problem basically is that this bishop is very active. And this pawn is going to be a target. So if we had played e5, then the bishop is weakened. Okay, play continues. All right, and actually the fireworks are going to start sooner than I realized. So this is the moment where things get a little crazy. This isn't what happened in the game. So in the game, I played knight f5, and something else happened, but you know, you might be looking at this and thinking, Cody, why don't you just take this pawn? This is a free pawn on d5. And yes, we can take it, but the question is, can you hold it? Can you hold that pawn forever? Or is this pawn going to fall? And after, for example, e6, how are you going to defend this pawn? Because you have to move your knight. And, you know, they can go queen takes. So let me just go back a step. Actually, yeah, this is the computer move. They want e6. They want knight c3. They're saying knight to e7. That is bizarre. I think the line I looked at was if they go queen takes, and then we trade. And now this starts to get crazy. This is just a computer thing. This is just for entertainment. The computer. Well, okay, I'll leave it up to you. So. Maybe pause. See what's the best move here for white. See if you can find any ideas in this position. I'm not sure I would have found this. So the move the computer wants is knight to b5. And the idea is you're threatening this fork on the king and the rook, and you're attacking the bishop. And for the bishop to defend this, well, I guess actually bishop b6 works stronger. The line I looked at was bishop e5. And then you can bring the other knight out to get a tempo on this. The bishop can't move to these squares because they're covered by the knight. It can't move to this square because it's covered by the bishop. So you have to somehow figure out a way to stop this fork from happening. You can pause and see if you want to try to find that too. I'm not sure I would have found this either. It's very complicated. But basically when you're out of options, you need to look for counter strikes. You need to attack them. So the idea is you play a6, and basically they can't play the fork right now because you cover it. And if they take the bishop, then you're going to remove the knight. So then they can't play their fork. So kind of crazy. What ends up happening is like takes, and then white takes, and white is up a pawn in this position. So through a counterattack, they somewhat liquidated the threat. In the end, we do win a pawn right here. So at the end of all that sequence, we're up one pawn, and that's why it was incorrect for the queens to trade from black's perspective. Now let's look at the other defense with the bishop. So the bishop could also come to b6 to defend this fork. Now, again, why don't you pause and see if you can find any resources in this position. So this move is also kind of crazy. I don't know that I would have seen this. Maybe some of you saw it, though. I'm not sure. But knight to d6 check. Knight to d6 check. If black plays, for example, king d8, then we fork this way. If black plays, for example, king to d7, we take the pawn and the rook is trapped, so we're winning the rook. The computer line is king to f8, and then we pick up the bishop for free. I should have mentioned that. It would be tempting to go here so that you can defend your bishop, but you can't because then you're going to lose your rook. So really crazy line that we take here. That's as far as I looked with this. So that is why it was not correct for black to trade or to take with the queen here, because of all those crazy things we just looked at. All right, so this does not happen in the game. Just wanted to show you guys. So instead of taking this pawn immediately, I played knight f3, and then play will continue, and we'll take a look. Okay, play continues. Normal developing move. The knights come out. Bishop comes out. Castle. Now, I think okay, so yeah, from here, I was thinking, this pawn feels weak as well. We have a lot of pressure here. So I was thinking that if I can remove the defender of this pawn, then isn't this just a free pawn? So that's what I played. And unfortunately, it's not quite a free pawn. So we'll see how it plays out in the game. So they retreat the bishop to keep their powerful piece here, which is definitely a very strong piece in this game. In these types of positions with the fianchetto pawn structure, usually the light square bishop belongs on this diagonal as opposed to this diagonal. Because if you're on this diagonal, this structure is just very strong, and actually you're just very inhibited because this controls this square. So usually in the structure, you're going to go bishop to e2. Okay, play continues. Now here I started to realize that, okay, black has pressure on this pawn. And for example, if they, if they go pawn to e6, they can force my knight to move, and then all of a sudden the queen is hitting this. So yeah, I think black had that in mind as well. That's why the bishop is coming here to try to do what I did to them. So they're trying to remove my defender of the pawn to undermine the pawn on d4. So I tried to avoid that by maintaining this knight and shielding my d4 pawn for the moment. So I thought I solved the problem. I don't think it quite works that way though. So bishop takes, queen takes. Now, maybe pause here if you want. Try to see how can you, as black, how would you exploit this positioning? Can you win either of these pawns? Can you win any material? So what happened in the game is they played e6, which, yeah, that's what the computer wants as well. Then knight c3. And now, yeah, queen takes d4. So the problem was they were still able to dislodge my knight and win this pawn. From here, it's pretty dicey. It's hard to figure out how am I gonna survive this position. So I mean, knight f3, just bring it back out of the danger since they were threatening to take, and do this with a tempo makes sense. Now, let's see, I think I would castle here. Yeah. Castle, they develop. I go rook d1. So here I had to decide where do I want to put the rooks? I could put the rooks on the two open and semi-open files. But I kind of felt like this rook, nothing was going to happen. It's just going to be pointed at this pawn forever. So instead I thought, okay, maybe I'm going to send these pawns down the board and do something over on the queen side. So I decided, let's go rook fd8 and then maybe rook ac1. That was my plan. Okay. And now here, let's see, why did I play this knight move? So if I take, the reason I don't take is because then they recapture and then sort of control the file. Well, I could re-challenge it, but then they take and I have to come back. Hopefully that makes sense. So I think I just blundered. I mean, I thought I was gonna maybe like, I don't know, do something like this. Maybe I forget. I played this game yesterday, so some of it's a little rusty for me. But I just totally missed that this pawn would be a weakness. Maybe I also wanted to come back here. I'm not sure. So they take my b2 pawn, and I was very bummed. So I'm down a pawn now. So we had to decide what's the right move order, because I could take, and then they're going to recapture. I have this check intermediate whenever I want. I decided to take rooks. I don't know if there's really a correct order. The computer's saying rook takes and queen takes are both pretty equal. So rook takes. So my queen is hanging. So I can't just, go like rook d1 or something. They just take my queen. Right. So I think it makes sense to trade here. Where else am I going to put the queen? I think like either here or I have to come to the back rank. I don't think either of those really do much. So let's just remove some of the pressure. And then now I went rook to b1. So get a tempo on this, x-raying this pawn. And now my opponent maybe mouse slipped or just, had a brain fart. And I pick up the bishop and they resign. I don't support them resigning here. Yes, you're down a piece now. Well, not even. You're down 2 pawns. I understand it's frustrating when you make a mistake like this, but I don't think you should be resigning here. Like back rank mates are still a possibility. So maybe you try to push this pawn, and then maybe you like leave this as a sort of poison pawn, and then you got like a back rank mate. Like that happens. So I don't support the resignation by my opponent here, but I understand it, and I was happy for it. So pretty quick game this time around, but there will be more, and I'll see you in the next one. If there's anything I could do to make this series more interesting, let me know. Let me know if the analysis is too long, too short, whatever. Some of the games are shorter just by nature. Some of them are longer by nature, but let me know down in the comments if you have any thoughts or if you're enjoying it so far. All right, guys, till next time. See you later.